All right. Shalom, family. It's your brother Kanaiba coming at you once again with this video titled Michael Jordan, Horus, Heru, Part 1. Okay, so here recently, Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan has pretty much broken the internet. And why do I say that? I say that because here recently the NBA has now returned back to NBC after 23 years. So in light of that, they have also given Michael Jordan, who wore the number 23, his own segment on NBC called Michael Jordan's Insight to Excellence. Okay, and we know Michael Jordan also played a very important role in making the NBA popular in general, and especially popular on NBC. Okay, so with all the buzz going on around Michael Jordan and a lot of the things he's been saying within those segments, I said to myself, you know what, this is actually the perfect time to actually do a three-dimensional evaluation on Mr. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And that's what we're going to do within this video series. Okay. And I always have to give this particular disclaimer. This is simply my critique. I could be wrong, but this is just the way that I see it. Okay, from a spiritual vantage point. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to look at the role that I believe Mr. Michael Jordan plays within the script that was given to him. Okay, and I don't believe this is something that he just walked into in adulthood. Okay, I believe that this is something that he was born in. Okay, that he was programmed to be. Okay, I believe he is playing the role, or one of the roles that he's playing is that of Horus / Heru, in which we're going to prove that throughout this video series. We're also going to touch on why Michael Jordan, particularly in basketball, but in sports in general, is always going to be looked at as the GOAT. Now, we know two-dimensionally it is because he is the greatest basketball player of all time. That really shouldn't even be a dispute. But there's a reason why three-dimensionally he is always going to have that title. There is a reason for that. All of this ties together. Okay, so I really look forward to this particular video series. Okay, and we're gonna look into a lot of stuff. There's a lot of information here. I haven't really done this much digging probably since the very first series I did with Mr. Kobe Bryant and his demise. Okay, the Bad Boys for Life, Mamba for Life series that I did. So let's get into it. Let's not waste time because we have a lot to go over. And I must say, with everything that I found, I'm still not going to be able to cover everything. That's just how much information there is about this man, Michael Jordan. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump right into it. And we're going to start with his name, Mr. Michael Jordan. Okay, because his name has a very important significance, believe it or not, on the right-hand side. He has two biblical names. Okay, let's actually take a look at that. All right. So here we have his first name, which of course is Michael. And Michael is actually Hebraic in origin. Right? So let's read. It says the name Michael means who is like God. Allow me to repeat that. The name Michael means who is like God. It says, and has Hebrew origins. It is a rhetorical question. So the name Michael in Hebrew is a rhetorical question. Who is like God? Right? So it says, implying that no one is like God, and is a popular name with strong biblical roots associated with the archangel Michael. So it goes on to say Hebrew origin. The name is derived from the Hebrew name Michael, or in the ancient Paleo-Hebrew, Michaela, which breaks down to my, who, ka, like, and el, God. Okay, who is like God. So this is Michael Jordan's first name and what it means, right? Now, if you know anything about the history Michael Jordan has had with a lot of his peers, let's take Larry Bird, for example. Larry Bird, from the times he's played with Michael Jordan, he has said that he has called Michael Jordan either Jesus in sneakers or God in sneakers. Okay, because again, this plays into Michael Jordan's programming. And of course, this is just my critique, but I believe all this plays into his programming. Okay, this is actually a nickname that he's been given. He's been given like Jesus in sneakers, God in sneakers, Black Jesus, the Black Messiah. Okay, which again is kind of irritating, because if you put that the name, the word black in front of it, it's implying that he's something else in real life, that the Messiah is not black. But because you get what I'm trying to say, they're trying to say that he's not black. That's why they have to say Black Messiah or Black Jesus, or and things like that. Okay, it's the same thing as them saying Black Hebrew Israelites. Okay, it's to imply that the Hebrew Israelites in reality are not black. It's the same thing here. But I said all that to say this. It goes into, when you look at this spiritually, look at his name. It's Michael, which means who is like God. This is one of the reasons why I believe he's given such titles and he's looked at like that. Okay, so now let's move on to his second name, or not his second name, his last name, and let's break that down. All right, let's take a look. All right, so here's information about Michael Jordan's second name, the name Jordan, and it reads: the name Jordan means to flow down or to descend. Now, that's very important. Okay. It goes on to say, and originates from the Hebrew word Jordan. It says the name is most famously associated with the Jordan River. It says, which is a site of great religious significance in Judaism and Christianity. It has become a popular and gender-neutral name with both given and surname variations across different cultures. Okay, so when you look at the name Jordan, it means to flow down or to descend. Now, ultimately, the name Jordan, to flow down, that's dealing with water. Okay, and there is a reason for that. What you're going to find out, what we're going to touch on throughout this series, is Michael Jordan is always connected somehow with water. And okay, no, I'm spoiler alert. Let's just get right to it. I believe water is actually one of Michael Jordan's triggers. Okay, and especially bigger bodies of water. And you'll understand what I mean here in a minute, because we're about to get into it. But yes, Michael Jordan is always linked with water. in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so let's really dig into it. Okay, let me further prove my point. But yes, his last name, Jordan, is also of Hebraic origin, just like his first name, Michael Jordan. He has two Hebrew names. Okay, but let's move forward. Let me further prove my point. All right. So in this slide, it reads Michael Jordan. And of course, his age is 62 years old, and he was born February 17th, 1963. Now, of course, it says he has a net worth of $3.8 billion. Wow. But what we're paying attention to here is his birthday, because that's the important point. That's what we want to talk about. Him being born February 17th, mind you. There's that number 17, which is also linked to water. If you've watched my videos in the past, you should already know the number 17 is linked to water. Okay, on the left-hand side. Well, again, going back to what? The movie 17 again with what's your boy's name? Zac Efron. Yes. Remember the scene right before he turned back into a teenager? His adult self had to fall over the bridge into the river. Basically like a psycho pump or a death and rebirth ritual, which is really what it was. And then when he came back out of the river, he was 17 again. But again, that number 17 is linked with water. Okay. But now let's move forward. Let's look at the next slide. Let's get more information about Michael Jordan and his birthday. Watch this. All right, so this is a chart about the zodiac sign of Aquarius. Okay. And when you look at those that are within the craft, they pay a lot of attention to the zodiac signs. Okay. They adhere to these things. Right. So when you look at the birthdays in which Aquarius falls in, it's from January 20th to February the 18th. Now we know Mr. Michael Jordan, he was born on February 17th, which would make him an Aquarius. Now, when you look at the Aquarius, that is a water sign. That's what the Aquarius is. Let's look at the chart. It says the symbol is the water bearer. That's what the Aquarius is, the water bearer. Now, look at this. Look at the next thing here. Ruling planets. Uranus and Saturn. We gonna leave that on pause for a minute because we're gonna get back to that a little later on. But again, one of the ruling planets of the Aquarius is Saturn. Yeah. I told you there is a reason why Michael Jordan will always be known as the GOAT. But more on that here shortly. Okay. Then it goes on to say house ruled is the 11th house, which is also very telling. But everything is going to come full circle, I promise you. Then it goes on to say the element is air. Air. Ladies and gentlemen, what is Michael Jordan's nickname? It's Air Jordan. There's a reason, a three-dimensional reason why he's called Air Jordan. And we're scratching the surface right now as to why he's called Air Jordan. Because he's born within Aquarius and the element is air. The symbol or the sign is water, but the element of the Aquarius is air. Air Jordan. Okay, but we really gonna knock this one out the park. Believe me, just be patient. I always bring everything full circle. Okay? But that's really the gist of what I wanted with this particular chart. Okay, let's move forward to the next slide. Let's get more information. Watch this. So if you remember my video I did 2 years ago, I did a video about the year of the water rabbit. Remember that? Now watch this, read this. It says the most recent water rabbit year was 2023. Yeah, 2 years ago, like I said, which ran from January 22nd, 2023 to February 9th, 2024. Now watch this. It says previous water rabbit years, or the previous water rabbit year was 1963. Allow me to repeat that part. The previous water rabbit year was 1963. Now, when we talk about water rabbit years and things like that, that's dealing with the Chinese New Year. Okay. But the previous water rabbit year was 1963. The one before 2023 was 1963. Why is that important? What year was Michael Jordan born? Michael Jordan was born in 1963, ladies and gentlemen. February 17th, still dealing with water, 1963. The year still dealing with water. It's the year of the water rabbit, which is also very important concerning his script. We'll probably get more into that probably in part 3. Okay, why? Again, he's born during the water rabbit year. It's part of the script. Now, if any of you seen my video about the water rabbit year, you should already know I already kind of touched on it, but we're going to touch on it in the part 3. Okay, there's a particular movie that Mr. Michael Jordan played in, spoiler alert, which gives it all away. Okay, why he's associated with water and the rabbit. But continuing on, it says, and the next one will be in 2083. Well, Lord willing, this kingdom ain't gonna get to a 2083. But it says the cycle of the Chinese zodiac combines 12 animals with 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. So a specific combination like the water rabbit happens once every 60 years. Okay. So with that information, we're going to move forward. Because like I said, I believe that water is indeed a trigger for Mr. Michael Jordan. And I'm going to explain what I mean by a trigger as well. We're going to get into that. Okay. But water, it's, again, from a child, this has been a part of his script. And there has been a lot of tragedy centered around him. And it's all dealing with water. Well, a lot of it. I'm not going to say all of it, but a lot of it's dealing with water. Allow me to explain. Let's look at the next slide. Take a look at this particular article about Michael Jordan. And it reads, it says, Michael Jordan lost his best friend and high school girlfriend due to drowning. Allow me to repeat that part. Michael Jordan lost his best friend and high school girlfriend due to drowning. See that? Let's continue before I even say anything. Let's continue. It says Michael Jordan's deep-seated fear of swimming stems from 2 tragic drowning incidents involving his best friend and college girlfriend, leaving a lasting impact on the NBA legend. Let's move forward with the article. And it continues on and it says, Michael Jordan renowned for his fearless demeanor on the basketball court, harbors a deep-seated phobia of swimming due to 2 tragic incidents involving his best friend and high school girlfriend. Okay, let's move forward. And notice how it says he harbors a deep-seated phobia. A deep-seated phobia, aka, again, I told you, I believe water, especially big bodies of water, is a trigger. A sort of a trigger for Michael Jordan. And we're going to get into that. Triggers and MK Ultra mind control. Things like that. We're going to touch on it. Okay? But anyway, let's move forward. The article continues. It says, this fear, which has persisted throughout his life, stems from the traumatic experience of losing his best friend to drowning. John Sally, Jordan's former Chicago Bulls teammate, shed light on this phobia during an interview with Vlad TV, revealing that Jordan cannot swim and is terrified of water. Allow me to repeat that part. Revealing that Jordan cannot swim and is terrified of water. Sally attributed this fear to a harrowing event in Jordan's past when his best friend drowned. So John Sally, when he was on Vlad TV, said that Michael Jordan is terrified of water. Okay, let's continue. And the article reads, Jordan himself recounted the incident in an interview with Playboy. Now, let's pause for a second. What is the symbol for Playboy? Yeah, it's the rabbit, the white rabbit. Okay, and he gave, in this interview, this is where he talked about the incident, the drowning incident. Okay, water, rabbit. Playboy, again, the symbol is the rabbit. Okay, but it says he described a day when he and his close friend were swimming and riding the waves. The strong current pulled his friend under, and in a state of panic, his friend latched onto Jordan in what is known as the deadlock, a desperate grasp when someone knows they are about to die. Said Jordan struggled to free himself, almost having to break his friend's hand to avoid being pulled under as well. Tragically, Jordan's friend did not survive. Let's pause right there. Again, this is one event dealing with water, one tragic event dealing with water that Michael Jordan went through. Now, we know within the craft on the left-hand side, they often have to deal with sacrifices, blood sacrifices, okay, to basically venerate the different pagan gods that they worship. Okay, now could this incident and the ones we're about to read about have been blood sacrifices for Mr. Michael Jordan? Who knows? But at the very least, I do believe that this is a part of his script and is, of course, meant to be a trigger for him. I know I keep saying that, but I'm gonna explain it further. Just be patient with me. I'm gonna bring everything full circle. Okay? We're just going into this because Michael Jordan, his last name Jordan, is dealing with water. And I said there's a reason for that. Okay? We're gonna get into Horus, Heru, and why Michael Jordan is known as the GOAT. We're gonna get into all that. Okay? But I'm laying the foundation right now. Just be patient. Okay? But the article goes on to say this. It says, The traumatic event occurred when Jordan was around 7 or 8 years old. The experience of helplessly watching his friend drown left a lasting impact, instilling a lifelong fear of water that Jordan has never been able to conquer. Wow. All right, let's move forward to the next slide. Let's look at more of the article. And it reads, it says, in addition to this childhood trauma, Jordan faced another heartbreaking loss during his college years at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. It says in a 1998 interview with Vanity Fair. It says Jordan revealed that his girlfriend drowned after being swept away in a flood while they were in college. Again, another drowning. What are the odds? You mean to tell me that all of this was just a coincidence? First his childhood friend, then basically his high school / college sweetheart, both drowned. Okay, and then not to mention his father. Now we know his father was actually shot, but where was his body found? His father's body was found in a swamp. We're still dealing with water. Why all of this? Is it just a coincidence, or am I on point? I'll let y'all be the judge on that one. Okay, but let's continue here. And the article reads, it says, my girlfriend got swept away in a flood and drowned when we were in college. How can you say that there isn't a plan for all of us? Allow me to repeat that. How can you say there isn't a plan for all of us? Now, could he be subliminally alluding to a particular script that was written out for himself? Who knows? But that's very curious the way that he put that. Okay, let's continue. It says the tragic event added another layer to Jordan's fear of water, reinforcing the profound impact of his earlier experience. Reflecting on these losses, Jordan philosophically pondered the fragility of life, despite his many triumphs. We'll stop it right there. Okay, we'll stop the article right there. But the point is, just look at all the tragic experiences he's had with water and drowning. Why? It's just too, I don't know. To me, it just doesn't seem like it could be a coincidence. I mean, really. But I had to go through that to give context, because again, Michael Jordan, the last name Jordan, is dealing specifically with water. Okay, and then we showed how down to his birthday and his different life experiences, be it tragic, still dealing with water. I believe this is all a part of his script. I believe this is supposed to be a trigger for him. Okay, as a MK Ultra asset. Okay, but let's move forward. In fact, there is a little bit more on this article, and it reads, despite his many triumphs and fearless persona on the basketball court, Jordan's fear of water remains a poignant reminder of the vulnerabilities and traumas that even the greatest athletes carry with them. Okay, so that's actually all I really wanted from this particular article. And the article is fadeawayworld.net. Okay. So, I actually believe this is a good spot to actually end part 1. Okay, we actually went over some very important information about Mr. Michael Jordan. Okay, and it's actually going to play an important role in the next part, part 2. Really in all the parts. Okay, everything's going to tie in together. I promise you. Just simply be patient with me. Told you I always bring everything full circle. Okay, so this is going to be the end of part 1. And yeah, I can't wait to actually get into part 2. So we're going to end this particular part, this particular video here. And of course, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh, which is the name of the Heavenly Father. And I do so by Hashem, which means in the name of Yahweh Shai, which is the name of the only begotten Son of the Heavenly Father, whom the world knows as Jesus Christ. And I want to thank all you brothers and sisters for tuning in. I hope this video was informative and edifying. And until next time, Shalom family, and I'll see you in part 2.